At one point earlier this year, the Louis Vuitton skate sneakers were getting sold for more than double. Now you can buy them for retail, and if you use the trick that I used, you can get them for even cheaper. I had to pick up a pair to test them out, to find out all the good things and bad things about them, but most important of all, to answer the crucial question, are they actually worth the money? I was at an event this weekend where we were showcasing our luxury bags and footwear, and I placed these on the table. And there was one thing that everybody kept on doing to them when they walked past, which I just thought was wild. But before I tell you what it was, let me give you a little bit of context around the shoe itself. The Louis Vuitton skate sneakers were the last shoe that Virgil Abloh designed for Louis Vuitton before he died. Virgil Abloh served as the creative director for Louis Vuitton up until his tragic death in November 2021. It was caused by a rare type of cancer that he had privately battled for years. When he died, it not only shook the world of fashion, but also art, music, and culture. He was an icon who is truly missed every single day. In this shoe, you can really see the influence of his life in them. Growing up in Chicago, skateboarding was a massive part of his life. And when I was growing up and I would see people on skateboards or BMXs, they would always be wearing one of two shoes, Nike SBs or DCs. And I really think you can see a bit of those shoes in this one. When these first launched, I instantly wanted a pair. I fell in love with them. But like most Louis Vuitton items, to build hype when they first release, they are super hard to get hold of in the first 6 to 12 months. This meant that resellers pounced on them, and whenever they would become available, they would do whatever it took to get their hands on them. You would then see them being resold on websites like eBay, Crepes Kick Game for over double the retail price. But for me, as someone who has loads of experience in the release and the hype of luxury sneakers, a shoe like this was never gonna hold its value above retail for much longer. And let me tell you why. This shoe was always gonna become a bestseller for Louis Vuitton. So at the start, what Louis Vuitton do to test products is they'll make a small batch. They'll then see how quickly they sell through. And then if they have a high sell-through rate, they'll then make loads of them because they know the demand is there. And this shoe was always gonna have a high demand rate because one, it's beautiful, and two, it was Virgil Abloh's last design. It was always gonna be popular. So because they continue to make loads of them, it meant supply went up, which in turn meant demand actually went down because they were more accessible and more people were wearing them. So the aura of this ultra hard luxury shoe to get hold of just went. You can now go to the Louis Vuitton website and pretty much get any size in them, which was really hard to do at the beginning. So the shoes retail for £985 or $1,340. They first just released in two colours, maroon and beige, but they now have loads of different colours and loads of different iterations too. They're a super chunky sneaker, probably the chunkiest sneaker I've ever owned. So when I'm styling them, I always try and make sure I'm wearing super baggy pants too. I really love the details, the subtle branding all over the shoe, the flower motif as the focal point, the double super chunky laces, the rubber support around the back of the heel, the cartoon-esque font on the tongue, the heel and the toe, the mixtures of materials on the upper where you have different types of mesh, leather, suede, and the PVC toe cap. The midsole and the outsole is actually the exact same as the LV trainers that I've also had a pair in the past of too. They have the mini motifs at the side of the shoe and the Vuitton branding on the sole. The reason I prefer the skates over the trainers is because the upper material of the trainers is actually really firm. Even though the trainers are chunky shoes, they have a really narrow fit to the shoe because of the sole. So this can make it super uncomfortable for people with wider feet, especially around the bridge area of your foot. But the skates, they have a much softer upper, which means there's less friction against your foot, making them more comfortable even though they have the exact same sole. So, are the shoes worth it? These shoes are really good looking. And like I was saying, I was at an event on the weekend and I put them on display. And they were the first pair that almost everybody walking past would either pick up or point to if they were with a friend. They are a beautiful shoe. But as we know, when we're making an expensive purchase like this, it's not just the looks that matter, even though a lot of people in fashion would say this. We have to take into consideration so many other things too, like durability, weight, comfort, how easy they are to style, do they keep their value, how easy are they to clean. So after wearing them for pretty much every day for a month, there's only really one bad thing I can say about them, and it's probably not that surprising to hear it. They're just really heavy. And obviously this is going to be the case. They're a super chunky shoe. What else do you expect? They've got loads of different materials on them which are pretty heavy. They're not actually that heavy where you're desperate to take them off your feet. But what I have noticed is when you do take them off your feet, it does feel like a huge relief for my feet and legs, which just feel free again. Apart from this, I would say they are definitely worth it. Maybe one other thing is that they're a pretty trendy shoe and they won't be in style in a few years' time. But I feel with footwear, it's a little bit different with bags, whereas you buy a bag now and you still have it in 20 years. I do feel like you can rotate your wardrobe a bit quicker with footwear. But apart from these things, I would definitely say they are worth the money, but don't pay more than retail for them. They are constantly becoming more and more available on the website and in store. And more styles and iterations are getting released. And more are coming into circulation, which means more and more people are actually reselling them on pre-loved luxury websites, which is how I got them a lot cheaper than retail. What I found the most wild about making this video is when I looked at you guys who watch our videos, more than 95% of you haven't subscribed. So if you enjoy the topics that I speak about, in exchange for you subscribing, I promise to continue making more of them every single week. And if there is a topic that you want me to talk about, just let me know in the comment section and I'll try my best to create a video around it. So, with that being said, what are you waiting for?